This is a production of KMmedia.pro. Welcome back to Positive Talk Radio. Our goal is simple: to explore evolving ideas one conversation at a time. So come on over into our world. I know you'll like it, because on today's show, we're very fortunate. We've got a wonderful guest for you today. I hope that you'll stay for the entire time. By the way, my name is Kevin McDonald, and this is Positive Talk Radio. We've been on the air on KKNW for a very long time and hope to be on the air for a much longer time. So one of the guys that has been with me for 20 years is Eric, and he is the station manager. Eric, how are you?
Hello, Kevin. I'm doing fine. Good afternoon. Happy Monday to you.
Happy Monday to you, too. Do you know that there's a hurricane that just went through Southern California?
A tropical storm, yes. Tropical storm Hillary is making it, well, I guess mostly made its way through California yesterday. So yeah, we're lucky that we don't seem to have many of those kind of weather events around here, thankfully.
You know, I was thinking about it, and I was thinking that maybe we should not be naming hurricanes or tropical storms after famous political people.
Oh, I don't think that's the case, that it was named after a political person. I think it was just they were up to H with the names. So.
Oh, I know, and they pick certain names that start with H and stuff, and I think Hillary is probably, because that's got lots of positive and negative connotations to it. So,
sure.
Anyway, that was just a thought. So, we've got a great guest today. She is a chiropractor. She is a nutritionist. She is an author. She's done a lot of great things, and she's got a website that I would like everybody to go to now. It's called creatingmydesiredlife.com. Eric, do you ever see a chiropractor?
I have in the past. Yeah. It's been a while though.
I know. I've crawled into a chiropractor's office and walked out. It's pretty amazing stuff. When I went to the doctor and he said, well, you know what, we're going to give you some pills, and then we're going to give you some more pills, and we're going to do anything, and then you'll have to have an operation. So I went to the chiropractor, literally crawled in and walked out. And it was like, and then I went to work that day. So it was like really remarkable. So I firmly believe in chiropractic and the people who do that work, and it's just amazing. So, and she's been doing it. She graduated from Life University in 1997, and she did. She was a chiropractor for 18 years in her hometown of Wilmington, Delaware, and now she's in Florida. And with that, I'd like to introduce Dr. Lynn Carey to the show. Dr. Lynn, how are you today, young lady?
I'm great, Kevin. How are you today?
I'm awesome. Thank you very much. And I really meant that I don't know why this is. Maybe you can explain it to me. But there are people when I say, when they say my back hurts, and I said, well, have you gone to a chiropractor? And they say, oh no, I would never go to one of those people. In this day and age, why is chiropractic still not considered to be mainstream medicine by most people, or by some people?
Well, my profession's very split. You can go to 10 different chiropractors and get 10 different experiences. And there's a lot of chiropractors that are doing stuff that I don't agree with, that I don't call chiropractic. I think they compromise their principles to have insurance pay for what they do. And they tried to become more medicalized, mainstream, which defeats the point of chiropractic, if you ask me. So I think that's why people may have had a bad experience, or they hear things and it just doesn't add up. And I kind of understand that perspective.
So let me ask you, if you are interested in trying, if you've never gone to a chiropractor and you're interested in giving it a try, can you kind of give us some tips as to when you're interviewing a chiropractor, what is a good chiropractor versus a not so good one? Or is that you have to find out first?
Yeah, I mean, you want to see if they're aligned philosophically. Are they adjusting you for wellness? They shouldn't be telling you, I'm going to adjust you and your pain's going to go away, because it doesn't work like that. I mean, it didn't work like it may work like that for some people, but it didn't work like that for me. They should be very principled in the philosophy that they're just adjusting the body to release the subluxation in the spine, which is the non-moving vertebrae, putting pressure on the nerve, just so the brain body communication is open. They should use their hand. I think a hand adjustment is better. I'm not a fan of when they put you on therapeutic tables. I think that's physical therapy, not chiropractic. But it's just a pure hand adjustment. It's for wellness. They should not be attached to the outcome. Of course, they want you to feel better, but it's really just to relieve the stress in the spine so the body can do its thing. And you can tell that vibe when someone's really principled in their chiropractic, in their philosophy, I believe, just from finding out those questions. And then, it's the feel. You have to get a feel if that person is for you or not, just like anything.
Yeah, I can imagine, because in my understanding, the chiropractor that I went to, or several of them, and they've all been really good, was that what they did is get rid of the kinks, for lack of a better word, the kinks in your spine that were affecting the nerves, that were affecting your muscles, that were causing you to have spasms and stuff that would then cause you to get even worse. And all they were doing was readjusting your spine to where it was supposed to be, and let nature take care of itself. Am I correct? Is that the good way to do it?
Yeah, absolutely. But you don't even need symptoms. You can just get your spine checked. They can feel if the bones are moving properly or not. They adjust the areas that are not moving properly to restore motion in that area. So it takes the pressure off the nervous system. So your body works better. So you can be adjusted even when you don't have symptoms. Like for instance, my son, I've been adjusting him since he was born. So, it's just that's the principle of chiropractic. It's not really treating anything.
Well, it's pretty handy having a chiropractor in the house, I got to tell you.
Absolutely. I
Well,
wish you could reciprocate.
and it also, yeah, exactly. It also helps that you are you have a bachelor's in nutrition as well, so you can help him eat well and to keep everything flowing the way it's supposed to.
That's right. Yep.
So congratulations on all that you do. And I wanted to the main reason that you're here, you're a chiropractor, you've been doing that, and had a very nice practice, but you're also an author. And there was a period of time when you decided to write the book. The book is called My Journey to Grace: Shattering Mainstream Illusions and Creating My Desired Life. What caused you to write the book, and how old were you when you did that? Or how
So
long?
yeah, it was 3 years ago. Right when the world locked down, I was very upset by what was happening. I didn't think it was right. And I thought there's so much fear mongering going on that maybe now's the time to share my story. I always thought I would share my story maybe down the road, but I was still figuring out other aspects of my life. I was shattering the mainstream illusions. Like I was finding a new path for myself in every area. So I just thought I just was compelled to start sharing my story. So I just started typing and writing out my story about how I learned to heal myself. It wasn't a straight road. It wasn't that chiropractic adjustments fixed me. So I just wanted to share that journey, because if I could do it, I knew other people could do it. And that I always learn by hearing other people's stories. I think we uplift each other with that. So I felt like we needed more of a positive message out. That's what kind of prompted me to do it sooner than I thought I would.
Well, and there comes a point in time when we all reach a point where we don't feel comfortable with where we've been, and we want to initiate major changes in our life. Some of us know how to do it. Others of us haven't got a clue how to do it. And those who do have a clue need to help those who don't. Does that make sense?
Absolutely. Yeah. Because I think, I feel very inspired to share my story with other people. If I've learned something new, I like to share it with other people. Then I realize not everybody wants to hear it. So I have to find those people who want to hear it, that are meant to hear it. It maybe not be for everybody, but I share with those who want to hear it.
Well, and when you were in high school, you were not feeling very well. You actually had a couple of surgeries, and you went through a long period of time when you weren't feeling right. Was that did all of this begin from when you were in high school?
Yeah, I mean, I would say, I look back and I definitely questioned everything my whole life as a kid. I questioned what I was being shown, what life was. I just didn't see much happiness. I saw it as a struggle. And I thought, what is the point of all this? And I do believe some of that kind of depression, that low vibe, contributed to me getting diagnosed with scoliosis, which is curvature of the spine. So just when I was about to go into high school, I found my own scoliosis. I was always checked, by my pediatrician, or through school, they would do those spinal checks. And I was always told I was fine. But all of a sudden, I could feel a bump in my back and my waistline was gone. And I showed my mom and she took me to the doctor and we went right to the orthopedics, from the pediatrician who sent me to the orthopedic and said I had a very severe case of scoliosis. And now I know one of the emotional causes of scoliosis, especially an S-shaped scoliosis, is that you're being pulled in two different directions. And that's exactly what the spine does. It's going in two different directions. And I feel like that. I feel like innately I knew something had to be more to life, and yet I was being shown something else, by my family, by my teachers, by religion. So that definitely played a part emotionally. But I ended up, I just did what the mainstream medical world told me. That's all I knew at the time. And at 15, I had Harrington rods put in my spine. And the surgery itself was labeled as a success. But I was left sick and in pain for years after that. I was always going, like, I heard your stories, you sharing that, you kept going to the doctor, and what do they get? Give you more drugs, whether it was painkillers or antibiotics, on and off. And I just kept needing them. I would go back to the doctor and say, why do I keep getting sick? And they would write me another prescription. And it really wasn't even helping. So my depression was getting worse. The pain was getting worse. Everything was just spiraling. And I went to college, because this is about 4 or 5 years. And then I went to college because I was told you got to go to college to be successful in life. So I went to college to try to find myself and become successful. And someone gave me a pamphlet on chiropractic as a profession. I never heard of it. And so I read the pamphlet and it said, the power that made the body heals the body. And I thought, that was like the first time I heard truth. You hear something that like resonates.
Yeah.
And I'm like, why hasn't anybody said this to me before? And I just went, I looked into it maybe for a few months, and then I made the transition. I just went to chiropractic school without even getting adjusted. Talk about ignorance on fire. And I went there and it changed my life. That was the beginning of the journey.
Because of the fact that you had been told one thing in your entire life, and as we're growing up, I was talking about this just the other day, as we're growing up, we are told that there are certain things that we must do. We must go to school. We must get the best grades we can. Then we are going to go to college. And then when you get out of college and you have a career that you're finding at the tender age of like 22 or 23, and now you're supposed to know what you're going to do for the rest of your life. And so now you're going to go get married, and you're going to find the gal or the guy or whichever, and then you're going to have a couple of kids, and then you're going to have a house, and then you're going to do your job for 30 years, and then you're going to get the gold watch, and you're going to retire, and that's how your life is supposed to go. But many of us, that life just doesn't work. That's not how we're supposed to be. That's not who we are. And we're not, when we come here, I believe that when we come here for a specific purpose. And we know what that purpose is, but we get waylaid from it by other people. Is that what happened to you?
100%. There are so many, you touched on so many topics just in that little, I don't even know where to go. Like my mind's in 1,000 directions. I was blessed. I felt like part of my healing process, I believe, I lost the fear that I couldn't get better, right? I gained trust that my body actually can heal, even regardless of the surgery and what my spine looked like. I gained my power back, but I also felt purpose. I felt purpose. First time I felt purpose and passion, and I could help somebody. I have a message now after my own journey. So I was blessed with that. And I really just wanted to get out, and I thought I was going to go back to my hometown and change the world with this message. But when I got out, I realized it was like life just begun. I had no life skills. I had no concept of what was really going on in the world, And so it was like I opened up my practice at 23, and then I realized, oh my gosh, mainstream society, just what, from my own lack of business and money skills, from watching people come in my office, what was all the things contributing to them being sick, all these things came pouring in. And I realized, that setup, what you described of us doing all these things that's why I called it shattering mainstream illusion. Mainstream tells us we should get all these things, right? Your degree, your job for 30 years, your get married, have kids. Well, what about the rest of your 40 to 60 years of life? I think this is where we get stuck. Our soul is here to evolve and have new experiences and we should be changing ourselves. This is why we get old and age, because we're stuck in this, what I call the rat race, instead of fully living, and it suppresses our creativity. It expresses our expression and who we are truly as a soul. And that is part of our immune system. This is the part, like, that's the life force in your body that starts to get shut off because you're not inspired anymore. So there is just so much to that, what you described, and even for myself, I started to grow beyond my practice. But there was I felt a lot of guilt because I did love chiropractic. It was my first love. And I thought, am I betraying who I am as a chiropractor? What will my family think? What will my practice members think? But I was outgrowing it and I had to get out. And I'm glad I made the right decision. I have no regrets. But that was a hard decision for me because of all those labels of who we are supposed to be, right?
Yeah, exactly. And the thing is that now you were, unlike some of us, you were very successful at your practice, and you did very well. You had a lot of patients and stuff, but still, there's a point in time, and I believe that this happens to every one of us at one point or another. There's a point in time when we say, I said this at 42. I said, is this all there is? There has to be more. Why am I really here? What am I really here to do? And so that started me on my journey of finding out, why am I really here? And what am I really here to do? And what I'm really here to do is to talk to Dr. Lynn about her book, The Journey to Grace, here on how's that for a segue?
I
Here on
love it.
Positive Talk Radio. Go to our website, which is creatingmydesiredlife.com. And I have to laugh. There's somebody out there that has been listening to us and listened to the website creatingmydesiredlife.com, and they're going, oh, come on, that's Pollyanna. I'm stuck where I'm at and I can't get out of it. I had a good friend that was that way. It was like, for years he was like, I hate my job. I said, quit. I can't. Why? Because I can't. Because why? And it would go like that, and he wasn't very healthy and he wasn't very happy. And all of those things come together to make it all work so that we can live the life that we were meant to live. Or at least that's my opinion. I think you hold the same ideas.
I hold exactly the same ideas. And the thing is because you think you can't, that's the soul's journey. Like, this is why we're here. Maybe it's not supposed to be easy. Maybe the things that if by following your dreams or whatever really makes you happy, the obstacles that you encounter is exactly what you came here to experience. I believe going through those ups and downs in life is the soul's journey. And that's how you really expand and find and tap into your true nature of who you really are. There is a higher vibration within us. We're only living at a piece of our potential here in this mainstream society. If we start raising the consciousness, there's going to be much more freedom and happiness, I believe, for all of us. But the journey is the inner work. We all have to do our own inner work. And this is kind of what frustrated me too. People would come in and it's like, I can't fix you. I can adjust you all day long. But if you're not doing the work on your own life, listening to your own inner voice, working on the mental demons that you carry, to clear them, we're going to be, you're going to be stuck here doing the same thing week after week after week. And I saw that and it drove me crazy. Like, I didn't get into practice to fix people. I wanted to empower them to change their lives. And I just felt like me as a chiropractor in practice it became too mainstream. As much as I thought I was outside of the box when I started, I outgrew the whole scenario of it, if that makes sense.
Sure. Well, when you do the type of work that you've done and you recognize that there's energy involved, which I've never gone to a doctor. And in fact, I take that back. I went to one chiropractor who talked about energy. Everybody else doesn't. Because they're looking at your physical being, your physicality that's here, but they don't talk about the energy that you are emitting that's coming from your body, and how you can change your vibration to become a happier, healthier, a more vibrant individual, rather than to be stuck in a low vibratory system. Unfortunately, and we'll talk about this probably in the second half, there can be some adjustments that have to be made based upon your as your vibratory system rises. Sometimes adjustments have to be made in relationships and other things. We'll talk about that in a little bit. But by the way, we're talking with Dr. Lynn Carey. And now, do you prefer, now when you were doing your chiropractic, were you also talking about nutrition and helping people learn that as well?
So a little bit. I think my main thing with people with nutrition is eating clean. You know, as much as you can, and I don't want anyone to become neurotic about what they're eating, because that's just as much stress. I've seen people follow crazy diets and judge everything they eat, and I'm like, look, you're putting just as much stress on your body. Try to buy organic and clean for your food and your products as much as you can, and what you can't, just let it go, and be mindful when you eat. Maybe stop when you're full. Feel while you're eating. You know, be present when you eat. Enjoy your meal. And the more you do that, you're going to end up getting in tune with your natural cravings, and you're going to start to self-regulate without all the monkey mind chatter in your, going on with everything you're putting in your mouth.
Have you gone to the bookstore lately and you look at the aisle on nutrition? It is overflowing with and if you go to enough books, you're going to have one book that tells you exactly the opposite of what another book is telling you to do. So where do you begin? How do you even know? But so I'll ask you, how do you know?
Well, I think it's about getting in tune with what you want. Because I think once you get in tune, if you're really following natural cravings instead of, sometimes we start craving things because we're too chemicalized. You just look at our food; it's so processed and chemicalized. If that's all you're eating all day long, you're not really feeling natural cravings. You're probably getting cravings from needing more of the drug that they put in the food. But when you start taking all that out, just buying things that are more whole foods, natural, without the chemicals, without the process. And like I said, you can't do it all the time. It's not easy to eat like that in our society. But if you can start doing it even 80% of the time, you're going to see a difference. You're going to see how you feel. Your digestion is going to start to clear out. And then you're going to start craving things. Sometimes you might crave junk food, but guess what? I know if I have eat some junk food, I usually am craving something healthy the next meal. So I feel like you start to self-regulate without thinking about it too much, because it shouldn't be a burden. We should be enjoying our meals and our food and being present, and not so eating on the go and just, I feel like we're just bringing more mindfulness and awareness to why you're eating, how you're eating. It starts to change things. And maybe my body type might be different than your body type and what you need according to the stress you're going on in your life too. So we change biochemically all the time. And I think, it's not just a cookie cutter diet that we should be following.
Do you remember, I'm older than you, and this was a marketing campaign that was done by a major fast food company years ago. They called it a Big Mac attack. Do you remember those commercials?
I remember a lot of the McDonald's stuff. Yeah. Where's the meat? All of it. It's hysterical.
Exactly. And the Big Mac attack was that you had a craving for this thing. I haven't had a Big Mac in like 25 years and haven't missed it at all. But that's just me, but still, we are told what to eat by watch a football game on Sunday, and they will, if an alien came down from Mars, we would be having beer, scotch, chicken wings, and fast food and pizza. It'd be what we were having if they watched a football game and watched the commercials. And so one of the advice that I heard a long time ago, and I keep telling people, is when you go to the grocery store, before you go into the center of the grocery store, go on the outside aisle and pick up everything that you can from the outside, because that's where the healthy food is. Is that correct?
I don't know. I feel like I'm all over the place with different stores, different aisles, different sections. I can't stand it anymore. It's like, I wanted this. It's not at this store. I got to go to this store. Like, it's become And then I almost give up. I'm like, was that organic? Like they have it so mixed up. I don't feel like it's even easy to find anymore. And I feel like that's just since the last couple of years. I can't. The ideal, if we all got back to growing our own food again, would be amazing. But I mean, I'm not even up for that. I'm just saying that's the ideal scenario, right? But we have to be realistic in how we're living in society.
Well, I grew up in the food service industry, and so I'm really well aware of the marketing practices that are used by food companies to market certain things. One of which, a big catchword, has always been natural. Another one is organic. Another one is free range. All of these things that they put out there to get us to buy this particular product. And oh, by the way, it's more expensive because they put organic or they put free range on it. I can tell you, I worked with a chicken processor for like 6 or 7 years, and I can tell you that the only thing they do is open one of the doors of the chicken house and let the chickens walk out a little bit, and then they can call it free range. So, you have to do your homework. If you're going to eat clean and eat naturally, you're going to have to do your homework and do the best you can. But it's not easy, and you're right. It's really not easy.
No, I agree. And that's why I always think that I see some of the things that are labeled organic or all the labels they put on things. And I'm like, man, you exactly what you described, what they call natural flavoring. And then there's all this artificial flavoring. It's so bad. It's so bad with the marketing. So I'm like, that's why you have to find a couple of brands that are actually organic, or a store that's actually going to support the really clean things, so you have to, if you can, so then it just takes some of the work out, then you can go to that brand or that store and find those items, but it's a process today, and it's become worse and worse because they're playing the game back at us. Oh, we can be organic now too, because of one thing that we did, and yet they're not. So I get it. That's why I mean it's so hard, I think, today to shop clean and do what I'm saying. Like I said, if we could really just go back to growing our own food, we'd know what we're getting.
Oh, exactly. And even in the labeling that they use these days, and we need to take a break, but first the labeling that they use is deceptive. And you have to be really careful because I'll give you an example. There is a company that makes a chicken pot pie. I used to love this chicken pot pie. And one day I said, well, gee whiz, how many calories is that? So I looked at the label and it said, well, it's 800 calories. And I said, well, that's not bad. But then it said servings per container 2. Now think about that. Servings per container 2. It was designed to be ate by one person, but they put 2 servings on there. So it wasn't 800 calories. It was 1,600 calories, which meant that that's all I could eat that day. It's like, how could they really do it? But that's what happens all the time. So
all the time. Well, I see some junk stuff, and I see the label of natural this or organic, and I'm like, oh wow. So
yes, indeed. And again, we're talking with Dr. Lynn Carey. When we come back, we're going to delve deeply. That's it. That's what I'm trying to say. Into her book, My Journey to Grace, Shattering Mainstream Illusions and Creating My Desired Life. So we're going to be talking about that. Go to our website, creatingmydesiredlife.com. We're going to take a really quick short break, and we'll be right back after these messages. You're listening to Positive Talk Radio. Hey, PTR loyal listener. First, thanks for being in my dream. And second, I have a new concept in business to share with you. It's called socialpreneurship. So, what's that? Well, it's the idea that any company designates all profits beyond expenses to be awarded to a local or international charity or project which is working to achieve good in the world. KM Media is such a company. We believe that it's important for us to give back whenever possible and to make great things happen. So I hope you'll join us in creating this new business model that will positively impact all of us. In the next few weeks, we will lay out the plan and begin our fundraising efforts. So stay tuned for more details right here on Positive Talk Radio.
When you want to say more than words communicate, You can with flowers. Your custom boutique floral studio in Bothell, Washington is anaturaldesign.com, connecting you to nature through the language of flowers. Where your people are is where our flowers are beautiful. Your success is our goal. anaturaldesign.com at your fingertips today.
Hey, thanks for listening to Positive Talk Radio. Did you know that we're also a media production company? Well, surprise, we are. We can create all kinds of audio, video products to fill any need. Please visit kmmedia.pro/our-store for a complete list of products and services. In addition, do you need a great voice to add to your own website or any other project? I know that we can add depth and quality to your work. I've been told more times than I can count by many professionals in the business that my voice adds to the quality of the presentation. So, let me create something for you. Please contact me at kevin@kmmedia.pro and let's create something great. And welcome back, everybody. See, that wasn't too bad. It was just a couple of seconds, and I hope you got some good information there. And we're talking with Dr. Lynn Carey. She's written the book, My Journey to Grace, Shattering. It went away. Shattering. Anyway, we're talking to her about her book, and what she's done is she's created a book that helped her heal physically, mentally, spiritually, and financially. In this book, she shares her views about her own healing journey, and from her 18 years of practicing chiropractic, she's concluded that the mainstream narrative and living in the rat race is causing sickness and disempowering individuals. I couldn't agree more. Why do we put ourselves through this?
Well, I think it's just the way it's set up. I mean, if I knew what I knew today, I maybe would have set myself up differently. But, just for instance, I had all this schooling, right? And a lot of it, me becoming a chiropractor, was my own personal journey. I was going to seminars on the weekends learning from true chiropractors because chiropractic school didn't really teach me everything I needed to know to be a good chiropractor, because they got so caught up in us becoming licensed doctors and all the national boards we had to pass that the art of adjusting kind of got lost. So I was doing all this stuff. I opened up my practice and I didn't know anything about business or money. So I had to teach myself, by default. I'm doing everything wrong and then having to fix it. But watching people, I was really observing people in my office, because I'm like, why are they coming in with the same problems or chronic symptoms? Why do some people heal? Why some people don't? And I realized that, it's the stress level. The stress level is killing people, and it's coming from not enough time, not enough money, not having time to take off to heal, not being able to afford the clean food, organic food that we're talking about, not being able to afford to pay for alternative health care out of pocket because their insurance wouldn't pay. They were only doing what their health insurance dictates, and that's not healing or even health. And, so I thought, this is insanity. People don't feel purpose every day getting out of bed in the morning. It's like drudgery. They're getting out to just make ends meet and to pay the bills. And I thought, this is really, it's the matrix. It's set up like this to keep us kind of suppressed. And I thought, there's got to be other ways. And so I just went searching for those other ways to really understand this whole dynamic for myself and for people. And so I found a lot of ways that are better than what the mainstream's telling. And so that's what I shared in my book. I thought, it's a blueprint. Here's another path to start. Because the thing is, when you're looking for something else, it takes time to kind of research and find your path, because the path isn't always paved for you when you're walking outside the mainstream system. That's the problem.
Well, and also there are people around you who are not interested in you doing that because it affects them somehow or some way. And in some cases, it's like, Dr. Lynn, what are you doing? You're a chiropractor, and that's what you should be doing forever. But that wasn't what was lighting your fire. You wanted to do something different. You wanted to be who you really are. And so it's cool that you went on this journey. I encourage everybody to do that, to follow your passion, follow your heart, and to do what really. Are you going to always be rich if you do that? Not necessarily, but not everything is about money either. At least that's my opinion. What do you think?
I agree 100%. And I fell on my face a million times, and I'm still picking the pieces up after the last couple of years kind of derailed what I was doing because of everything changed that I wasn't ready for. But it's okay because I feel so much peace, and because I've always done my best, I've always followed my heart. So you live with no regrets. That's the best. Like I took chances, and I'm still recreating myself because I believe we're here to always grow, learn, and experience, and I trust that all the struggles that I'm going through make me a better person because it's always been like that. Every time I feel like there's a dark moment or a struggle I'm going through, maybe a year later, maybe a few months later, I'm like, oh, that's the reason I went through that, So there's always a reason that you're going through it, and that's the magic of life. People are afraid to go there. They're afraid to visit the dark places within themselves, but when you do, that's when you really free yourself to be who you are.
You learn through the experiences that you gain in life, and every experience has an outcome and can have a positive outcome if you look at it that way. Isn't it about how you look at things? I mean, if you think, oh, well, I'll give you an example. I went through what I call a bad country music song period in my life, where everything was not going as well as I'd like. My father died, my dog died, my wife left, I lost my house. I declared bankruptcy. I hit a bridge with a truck. I was sued for $50,000, all within a 3-year period.
Wow.
And all of these things were happening to me, but they were happening through me. And I understood why they were happening. And I appreciated the outcome because it led to, oh, that's why I did that. Or now I'm doing this because of that. Or this played into that happened 20 years ago. And it all makes sense, but you have to have a moment of perspective as to what really is going on versus what the little voice in your head, that little negative voice, what it says is going on ain't true. It's that other voice that you need to gain and learn from and to bring out. That's the voice that you should be listening to. At least that's the voice I listen to these days.
I couldn't agree more. I mean, there's a couple of things that happened to me that maybe would be people could stay victimized forever. Like my father died when I was 12. I don't look at it as a hurtful situation. I look at it as probably one of the greatest blessings in my life because I believe he freed me. He freed me from fear of death. He freed me from, actually not living fully because of that, I was kind of fearless because I already lost everything. So there was that piece. I felt like he was guiding me from the other side better than he could have in the physical body. I feel like there were so many blessings that came from it because of that. And then I had the surgery. If I knew what I knew today, I would have never had that spinal surgery. It's ludicrous. But I wouldn't take back everything I've learned from it. I am so free in my body and my health that I see people, I'm thinking, my God, they're living in this disease world. I don't live there anymore. And I wish I could offer that health freedom to everybody. But you have to go through the own journey. It was through my years of struggle and nobody could help me that I became empowered. So I would never take that back. So sometimes we think the darkest things are happening to us are the things that set us free.
I will tell you that one of the things is that because of the things that have happened to you, you have been able to step forward and to write a book. And to write a book that can help other people achieve the same things that you are in the process of achieving. Are you done yet? Is there, I got to ask, is there a time when you can ever say, whew, I'm perfect now. I've got everything handled and I know exactly what I'm doing?
Definitely not. I think that maybe we would drop the body. We'd be in the other realm or something. I think if we're in this human suit, we're going to keep going. We got to have new things to challenge us and make us grow, which is why we're here.
And continue to grow until that day comes when we each are going to have that day. I don't know if everybody knows this, but you are going to die at one point. Your body is going to stop working at one point. Now, that doesn't mean that you stop working. It just means, do you know who John Edward is?
Yes.
He's a famous psychic medium, and one time I was listening to him, which I have done often because he has little nuggets that you can get from his work. And he said a lady said, "Well, he's gone now. He's dead now." And John said, "What kind of car do you drive?" And she said, I drive a Plymouth. I said, "What kind of car did you have before?" I had a little Toyota. Do you miss a Toyota? No, because I have this Plymouth. So when you were done driving the Toyota, you got out of the Toyota and then you got into the Plymouth. Well, yeah. Well, that's how when we go, we're stepping out of our body, which is no longer serving us. But that doesn't mean we're going anywhere. We get to go home and then we get to recalibrate what we're doing and determine what we did well, what we'd like to learn more about. And then we get to come back and we get to do it all again. I believe that. I know that to be the case. Do you, you're smiling at me. I suspect you do too.
I agree with you 100%. That's a great scenario.
Yeah, and it makes such sense because I've had a bunch of cars. My children have killed 3 of my cars, but that's another story. But I've, and when you're done with something that you don't need anymore, that doesn't serve you anymore, then it's time to move on to the next thing. But while you're here, it behooves you to learn from people who've been down this road before. My Journey to Grace, Shattering Mainstream Illusions and Creating My Desired Life is a great vehicle for you to learn a little bit more so that you too don't have to wring your hands and say, "I can't do any of this. I'm screwed," and all that kind of stuff. Because none of us are. We have got immense power. And you have come to understand that, haven't you?
Yeah. And you know what? I always say, people say, "Oh, we live long lives." And I'm like, well, are all those years, are you fully living? Because I sure see a lot of people who are just existing. They don't want to change anything because of so-called what they call security. To me, that looks like death. Like the Walking Dead is what I call them. But I want to be here fully living. Are you fully alive, happy, trying new things, growing yourself? I think the mainstream has made us just want to exist in this so-called security, and that's killing us. And I really believe we're here for more than that. And I think if you are fully living, better quality of life, that's what you should be searching for.
Well, I agree with you. I think the powers that be, they have a vested interest in keeping us doing the same thing over and over again and not learning from it and to growing past it. Recently we had the pandemic and then we had this great resignation. Did you hear about this great resignation that we had? That a lot of people didn't want to go back to the job that they had because they'd been away from it for a little while, and they recognized, I wasn't happy. I want to go be happy with my life.
Absolutely. Yeah, I think people started to reevaluate everything they're doing every day. I think this lockdown affected everybody in so many different ways,
It really did. And I'm hopeful that more people, because, so many thoughts are running through my head. If everyone had the idea and the desire that we are all one, that we're all connected, and that we're all here to do the best that we can and to live with purpose and to live our lives fully and enjoy ourselves and to learn at the same time, I think we'd run out of time for war. I think we'd run out of time for hurting other people, because we wouldn't want to hurt ourselves.
That's right. No, if we were really following what makes it almost sounds like you're being selfish, right? If you're going to follow what makes you happy, follow your dreams, grow yourself, no matter what happens is you're more aligned to your source, which we're all connected to source. We're all one. The more aligned you are to that, the more consciousness you bring to the world, the more you end up serving more people. You help raise the consciousness and it empowers other people to do the same thing. So there's more alignment. There's more peace, there's more prosperity, there's more love, it's all the better things. We're creating heaven on earth by following that higher voice, that inner voice that's telling us, follow your dreams, go through this dark place, because you're clearing up all that stuff. The people who are hurting other people are most disconnected from themselves or their source. So if we were all following this inspiration within, we'd create heaven on earth. There would be more peace. We wouldn't have time for any of this other horrible stuff going on in the world. I think it would naturally fall away.
I agree with you. Now, I learned, speaking of experiences, I learned from my father, God rest his soul, that he grew up in a time when you did what you were supposed to do. He got married at 22, 21. He was 21 as my mom was 19. And then they had 3 kids. And then he had to go to work. And then he was supposed to work. Now, he was also a really, really good golfer and wanted to go on the tour. Couldn't do that. He had to go to work, and he became a manager at Nordstrom for 35 years. And then when he quit being a manager at Nordstrom, then there was nothing left for him, because his passion was long gone. And when he ceased to be Mr. McDonald and became Jack, he lost his identity. And so he spent the last 10 to 15 years of his life just not finding out who he was, didn't know he could do anything else. And I kept thinking to myself, what a sad commentary for a great man, and for a great man to end his life in that place, in that way. And I committed that that's not going to happen to me. Dang it. I got better things to do. And I know you do too.
Oh, I see it in so many members of my family. And in fact, I do believe that's what killed my father. He was an entrepreneur at heart, but he didn't have the right support. He failed many times. And when I came along, he was starting over again, and in his late 40s. And I really believe that's what killed him. It was a broken heart, like failed dreams. I know how important it is. I see it with people. It's what lights up your immune system. It's the life force within you. It's the passion you should feel, the inspiration you should feel. And it might not be big things. I don't want it to sound out of reach for people. It's the little things. You start reprogramming yourself to follow the little things that make you happy. It snowballs into bigger things, because I believe we're here to have a joyful life, a joyful expression. It shouldn't be this hard struggle existence. It's just depressing. That was what I saw as a kid. And that's what really I thought, there's got to be more to this. Like, why are we here? Like, I was kind of angry that they even brought me into a world like this. I'm like, this is insanity. So I see a whole nother way. I know there's another way than that. And I'm still discovering new things. I don't have it all figured out, but that's the joy of the journey. I've discovered so many more things by just staying open and researching and looking at other ways of doing things.
Have you heard of the expression, the golden handcuff?
Oh, yeah.
Explain to our audience your definition of the whole golden handcuffs.
Because you get this success as a whatever level, like you think of a CEO at the top of the company making all this money, but he has to keep going to a job that he doesn't even like it, but he's going, but makes this great living, and supports all these people around him, and the status and the identity and all this, but he's dying inside, and it's like the golden handcuffs. You have to keep going back to keep this life going, but your soul's dying inside. That's the worst.
Yeah. And so what do? You end up at the bar. You end up taking pills.
Exactly.
You end up not leading your life and not being the man or the woman that you can be for those around you, because you're so.
There's too much at stake to walk away. Like it's too big, right? The money's too big. The status is too big. All the people you support, it's too big to risk it all to follow your heart.
And everybody tells you that.
That's right.
No, nobody says, "Oh, don't worry about us. We'll be fine. You go follow your passion." And if it doesn't work out, because it probably won't the first time, it takes time. But we'll go figure it out. No, they don't say that. They're like, "How could you do such a thing to your family? My gosh."
Oh yeah. So that adds the guilt, the pressure, the whole thing.
And that leads to the stress, which leads to the body breaking down, which leads to all that negative stuff. And you've seen it time and time again.
That's exactly it. That's the whole scenario in a nutshell. So it's like, you could exercise all you want, you can eat clean all you want, but if you got all that stuff going on, bad relationships that are guilt and obligation instead of really supporting you, emotionally, the job you hate every day, whatever, all these things, you're not going to counteract it with a good diet and exercise at all. You have to look at all these areas of your life because they are all interconnected. You can't compartmentalize.
And there are times, and tell me if you've seen this before, there are times when you physically decide that you're going to raise your vibration, and you take active steps to do that, via meditation, via mindfulness. There are many, many ways that you can do it. The library is full of them, so go find one that speaks to you. But when that happens, sometimes other people who used to resonate with your vibration don't anymore. And so you have to be cognizant of that as well. And it's like at one point in time, everybody left. Everybody except my immediate family left me. All my friends, my wife, everybody went away. But that's okay, because I now have a group of people that I have surrounded myself with who are really, really good people and who resonate with me. And so my life is much better now than it would have been then, because these people are who I was destined to be around. And that may change in the future, who knows? But I'm having the time of my life. I hope you are too, doctor.
I am. And this is the thing. I think that does hold people back. So they think, oh, I'm going to disappoint my family, or I'm going to lose my spouse, or whatever. But you know what? The gift when I was 12 years old and my father died, the gift that he gave me, I was like, oh, we're not all here forever. Even if somebody loves you, even if your parents are you're happily married, that person could die. So who are you without that person? You know what I'm saying? So like, we're not all permanently here together for the whole time. Like, that's what made me realize that. And that was it was so freeing, because I see people, they're afraid to let go of certain people. I'm like, well, eventually you're going to have to let go because we die. But people, we're here, some of us for a lifetime, some for a season, or, for a short period of time. I think there's a saying like that. But, we have to be okay with losing certain people, because maybe other people are supposed to come in, or that person, you outgrew each other. It's okay. It doesn't make it wrong. It doesn't make them bad people. But I see a lot of people getting trapped in that, and it really doesn't serve either person.
Well, and the other one that I don't understand, and we're not going to have time to delve into this today, sadly. I would love to, but one of it is there are some people who feel like they are not complete unless they have some sort of a mate, or somebody to be off with. And I vehemently disagree with that.
I disagree too.
I think you can be happy by yourself. I think you can have a wonderful life, and you can take care of all the things you need to do. By the way, we are talking with Dr. Lynn Carey. I love having you. Would you come back?
I would love to come back, Kevin. I love talking to you. You're amazing.
Well, you are as well. And we've got just a minute and a half. So I want you to tell our audience anything that you'd like them to know.
Well, it's very important that you follow your happiness, because that is the key to your health and your immune system and your healing. So don't disregard it.
Boy, that was fast. You got another minute. And by the way, go to creatingmydesiredlife.com, and she's written the book, and My Journey to Grace, Shattering the Mainstream Illusions and Creating My Desired Life. If you are not leading the life that you fully embrace and desire, get this book. It's a great way to help you understand a little bit more about yourself. And I want to thank you for writing it. There's going to be somebody who's going to pick up your book. Might be in a secondhand bookstore. It might be in the library, and it's going to change their life. And I want to thank you for taking the time and effort to write it.
Well, thank you for letting me share my story here on your platform. It was an honor.
Well, you're back. Come back anytime you wants to, because I love talking to people like you, because, and I think people can tell that I'm enthusiastic about this topic, because I really believe it and know it to be true. Don't settle. If I wanted to settle, you know what would have happened to me? I was in a mid-level management position when I was 42. I would have ended up being in a mid-level management position. Before I would have retired, I would have been what they call backwatered into a job that I had no hope of promotion from and doing anything else. I would have been just stuck doing that. And there's nothing in life worse than that. So again, Dr. Lynn, I want to thank you for being here. And By the way, everybody, be kind to one another because each other's all we've got. We'll see you Wednesday at 4.